Timothy's poster. This material was developed under the USAID LAC Reads Capacity Program, implemented in Jamaica by EduConnect JA to support literacy for childhood development. Author, Rosia Payne Gallimore. Illustrated by Wayne Powell. Timothy's poster. Timothy was standing by the notice board. He was reading a flyer from the Ministry of Education. "Hey, take a look at this," he called out to his friends. The ministry was sponsoring the first annual poster contest for schools. There were 4 categories of posters, which included age groups ranging from 10 to 18 years old. Each school would submit the winning posters up to the ministry. The overall winners would be chosen from among the posters that were submitted. Bert, Eric, and Jenny came over. They read the flyer also. "Hey, I think we should do this, guys," an enthusiastic Timothy said. "First thing in the morning, we'll speak to Mr. Zen and the rest of the class, okay?" They all agreed. Timothy felt excited as he left for home. If Timothy Green wasn't sleeping, he was designing. When it came to creating posters, he was like an Energizer bunny. There was nothing he enjoyed more, except maybe drinking milk and eating chocolate chip cookies. He loved gathering materials and cutting, coloring, and pasting them together. He took it just as seriously as his schoolwork. The following morning, Timothy's teacher, Mr. Zen, told the class that they would be designing posters on transportation of goods for the competition. Timothy was excited because he'd be able to show how his milk and cookies, paint, coloring materials, and other goods are moved from place to place. Timothy loved to design colorful trains, trucks, vans, and ships. His eyes beamed as he thought of the beautiful airplane he designed that won the annual creative toy competition. He wanted his poster to be the very best. On his way home from school that evening, Timothy saw his neighbor, Mr. Brown, in his truck. Mr. Brown called to him as he went by. Mr. Brown was delivering buns, biscuits, and other pastries to the pastry shops in the town. Not long after that, Timothy saw Farmer James heading to the market on Fred the donkey. Fred did not look happy. The hampers on either side were heavy with ground provisions. You could see yams, dasheen, and green bananas on top. "Those are all great ideas for my poster," Timothy thought to himself. He ran home as fast as he could. Thirsty and out of breath, he grabbed a quick drink from the refrigerator. "Mom, Dad, I need some ideas for a poster. I'll be doing for a competition. Can you help me, please?" His parents sat with him for a while, going through a few books. They went on the internet, where they found many items for the project. "Thanks, Mom. Thanks, Dad," he told them when they were finished. Later that evening, his best friend Bert called, and they shared a few ideas also. Timothy went to the garage to gather up glue, pictures, crayons, pencils, scissors, cardboard, and other items that he thought could be used to create the poster. Timothy was so excited he forgot about his milk and cookies that night. He went to bed thinking about the poster he was going to design. At breakfast the next day, Timothy was grinning from ear to ear. "Mom, Dad, I know exactly how I'm going to make my poster." Timothy's parents knew their son was very creative. They both smiled. "Tell us what you plan to do, Timothy," his father urged. "Last night, I dreamt I was at a huge airport. I saw a lot of people moving from place to place. Some were alone and some were with their families. There was a football team from Brazil and a large group of men and women in uniform. They looked like they were in the army. I saw pilots and flight attendants and an old lady being driven in an electric car. There was a man in a wheelchair and lots of babies in carriages. First, we went up this crowded escalator, then on this long moving sidewalk that brought us over to the area where passengers were picking up their luggage. Then we took the elevator downstairs to the pickup area outside where I could hear the planes taking off. The army people were picked up in lorries and the pilots and flight attendants left in vans. Some took a shuttle over to the train while others waited at the bus stop. While we were waiting for our cab, a big limo came and picked up this guy wearing a lot of jewelry. On the highway home, we saw 2 policemen on bikes, and in the distance, there was this great big passenger ship in the port. Timothy rubbed both palms together, back and forth in excitement. "I'm going to use the ideas from my dream for my poster," Timothy told his parents. "My poster is going to be really good." "I guess you have it all figured out, Timothy," said his father. His mother nodded in agreement. "Yes, Dad, you got that right," replied Timothy. Bert came over to ask Timothy to join a group of friends in a game of football. Timothy declined the invitation. "Sorry, Bert, I want to work on my poster. Maybe tomorrow, okay?" Bert was disappointed, but knew that the competition was a big deal to Timothy. "Okay, Timmy, I understand. I bet if I had told you to come over for milk and cookies, you'd have dropped everything." "You got that right. But not today," Timothy said with a chuckle. Timothy did not waste any time. 2 hours later, everything he could remember from his dream the night before was researched and the discussion with his parents were on paper. His plan was going to be a hit at school. Timothy sorted through the materials and pictures to decide what he was going to use. Before he knew it, it was time for dinner. On Monday morning, Timothy woke up anxious to get to school. He hurried so much that he didn't realize that he had on 2 different foot of socks. "Timothy, slow down! Chew your food!" exclaimed his mom. After stuffing down a huge bowl of cereal, he kissed his parents goodbye and dashed out the door to the school bus. "But you need to change your his mother started to say, but Timothy was already out the door. "That boy has a one-track mind," his father commented. "I wonder who he got that from," his mother replied, smiling at her husband. Timothy could not wait to get to class. He shared his ideas with his classmates and teacher. They were all impressed with his plans. At lunch that day, his classmates were like busy little bees buzzing from table to table with ideas. They had a quick lunch before speaking with the canteen supervisor to get information on how food and supplies were delivered to the school. Timothy, as usual, had his thinking cap on and suggested that they also ask how the garbage was taken away. He explained to Mrs. James, the canteen supervisor, what the project was about, and she gladly sat down with them. She told them that all deliveries were made on Tuesdays and Thursdays, except on holidays. The deliveries were made very early in the morning before school, in trucks and vans. "Why are the deliveries made so early in the morning?" Timothy asked. "To limit contact and prevent accidents between the students and large vehicles, including garbage trucks," she answered. Bert asked her where the goods were made. She brought them into the large storeroom behind the canteen. She showed them the labels on the boxes and packages with all the information. "I wonder where the milk and chocolate cookies I love so much come from," Timothy thought to himself. Timothy still had a few questions about the transportation of goods. The next day, he decided to ask his teacher, Mr. Zen, some of the questions he thought about. Can you tell us where things like food, building materials, cars, and medicine come from? Timothy asked. Great question, Timothy. They come from all over the world. Some come from as far away as China and India. Some come from a little closer, like the United States, Trinidad, and Tobago, and some are made right here in Jamaica. Now, I have a few questions for the class. First, how do you think the goods from China and India are transported to Jamaica and the Caribbean? Bert, Timothy, and Eric all raised their hands. Bert, can you tell us? Mr. Zen asked. They come in ships and planes, Mr. Zen. Very good, Bert. Class, these are not ordinary ships and planes. They are cargo ships and cargo planes, built specially with a lot of room inside to carry a lot of goods. Eric, can you tell us, once the goods are on land, how are they transported? They are transported in trucks and vans, Mr. Zen, and stored in large buildings and warehouses. Some have refrigerators. Excellent, Eric. I see you guys have been doing your research. Timothy, can you tell us how other small items are transported from place to place? Timothy had to think very quickly. By motorbikes and bicycles, Mr. Zen? Class, can you tell us what kind of items can be transported by motorbikes and bicycles? Jenny raised her hands and answered, letters, overnight mail, small packages, Mr. Zen. Excellent, Jenny. Now class, is there anything else that all of us need every day that is delivered by motorbikes or bicycles? Before Mr. Zen could finish his question, all the students shouted, pizza! Very funny students, Mr. Zen said before bursting into laughter with the children. Long before there were automobiles, how do you think goods are transported on land? Asked Mr. Zen. Only Timothy raised his hands this time. My father told me that when he was a little boy, his grandfather used horses and donkeys. Mr. Zen. Also, Farmer James has a donkey named Fred that carries provisions to the market. Very good, Timothy. And in some countries, they use elephants and camels. I have one more question. Some people live in areas that are far away from large towns and cities. The people may have to travel long distances to get to hospitals, libraries, airports, post offices. Can you tell me the name of these faraway areas? The class was silent. These faraway places are known as rural areas. Thank you, Mr. Zen, Timothy said. I think we are ready to make our posters. The children were all excited as they gathered up their materials. Timothy sat quietly by himself and began to work on his poster. Mr. Zen walked about the room assisting each student and answering questions. He was very encouraging and told all of them they were doing a good job. Their work was neat and he was pleased with the work they had done so far. Have you figured out where your milk and cookies come from? Mr. Zen jokingly asked Timothy. From the refrigerator, Mr. Zen, Timothy replied cheekily as the whole class broke out in laughter. All the students worked hard on their posters during the week. Timothy was very happy with his design. He shared it with his parents the day before presenting it to his class. They were very pleased with his work. Finally, the day arrived for the presentations. Timothy's poster was very detailed, colorful, with very bold print. He had clear diagrams, charts, and pictures. It showed that he had done a lot of research and preparation for his work. It included many methods of transportation of goods and products all over the world. He showed how these products were used and the people who used them. He also included where his milk and cookies came from and how they got all the way to his home. Timothy was excited. Everyone liked it and thought that his poster should be selected for the national competition. "You have done an excellent job, Timothy," said Mr. Zen. "I think it will come out on top at the national competition." Timothy was delighted. He could not wait to go home to share with his family what his teacher had said.